Hey y'all, Toad here. Alright, well, something a little different today. I heard through the grapevine that one of the shops that deals with communications had gotten in a bunch of new old stock antennas. And I have been wanting to be able to take the Yaesu 2900 that I use as a 2-meter base station here and make it so I could use it in the car. And so I've been waiting and waiting. The best antennas I could find with the base and the antenna, blah, 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 all that together, were running about 80 bucks. Maybe a little bit more with shipping. And I've just been kind of vacillating. I really didn't, I couldn't justify the money, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, this place had a bunch of these new old stock antennas, and this one's an antenna specialist, which I know are pretty decent antennas, perhaps a bit dated, and I was able to score this one for 25 bucks. Brand new, still in the packaging, and what I've got out here are the parts. And to give you an idea how old this antenna is, I don't know, but on the instructions here, that looks, it looks suspiciously like a 70s Ford Fairmont. I don't know. Maybe it's newer than that. I don't know. But it does have an interesting feature, which, I'm not going to say I like, but it is what it is here's the end of the coax that's going to go to the antenna, and here's the little fitting for putting the antenna in. And without going into too much gory detail, the bottom line is you stick the center in, and I'm going to strip this all back. It comes out the top, and there's a small brass nut that holds the shielding here. A little bit old-fashioned compared to the NMO connectors of today. Yeah. Is it waterproof if you take the antenna part off the trunk and just leave them out? No. Is it waterproof if you unscrew it at the spring and take it off? Yeah. So, I'm not too worried about taking it off. This is one of my cars. I don't use car washes. I wash them by hand. So what we're going to do is assemble this thing and throw it in, and I'll just show you this old-fashioned kind. I went on the net trying to find how to do these, and either I didn't know what to call them or whatever, but I couldn't find videos and all that. It seems pretty straightforward. So we'll take you along for the ride and see if we can't get it installed. Okay, what I did is I trimmed the cable back. It was 3 1/16 or something like that from the beginning, like the instructions said. And I followed the instructions on there. And then trimmed the inner core to the proper length, and then put this little brass ferrule over the braiding that was right here, and pushed it all the way to the end, pulling the braiding through, and then folded the braiding over and cut the braiding off here. And there's a bunch of braiding inside this ferrule, and what we do, try and keep this on camera while I'm watching, is we shove it up through, in goes the inner core along with its insulator, and sticks out the top, and then we simply screw the ferrule on there. And that gives us our ground, and there's our core. And what we're going to do next is go ahead and, if you can see in there, the core has a little cutout area where I can simply tip this over, just bend this core over inside, and that's what's going to give us our center contact. So this is going to go in a trunk, so I'm not worried about waterproof or anything like that, but I am going to go ahead and just put some tape on here. Probably should have put some shrink wrap on it. Oops. Anyway, I'm going to tape this all up, and I'll tip this over, and then I'll come back and show it to you. Okay, I got that screwed on tight. Got it taped up a little bit. I just want to make sure it doesn't come loose from jiggling. And then if you look inside, you can see how that center is bent over, down flush. I used a pair of needle nose pliers just to make sure it stayed down flush. Pardon me. And that's pretty much the beginning, like the pre-assembly. Everything else now pretty much happens out the car. So let's go out there. Alright, well, as you can see, we've got the hole here drilled for where the mount is going to go, and it pretty much goes in that order. It goes in the hole, comes up, these pieces act like washers, and it kind of pulls against the bottom, and they got little sharp points on them so they'll penetrate the metal. And then the rubber gasket, which is actually cool, it's kind of thick, and as you can see, this is where one of Crunchy's crunches is, so the antenna is going to have a little bit of an angle to it. And then the large washer goes on, spacer, whatever you want to call it, and then on goes the nut. So I need both hands to do that, so I'll be back in a minute. I had to stop because of some cars. Okay, so there it is, and you can see it's in, it's done. It's going to angle a little bit because of the way the car's crunched. There's the bottom. You can see where the copper line's going to go in, and then there's your threads. So let me go ahead and put that on. Alright, so there you go. You can see, maybe I should have put it more over and got it flatter. It's going to be off a little wonky, but you know what? That's just kind of the way I roll anyway. So let's get the mast put on it. Alright, well, putting the mast on is actually pretty dang simple. In it goes in the top, and then with that set screw right there, that holds it. Kind of neat. Obviously you can take it off, and because it has a ball on top, you can cut the antenna to tune it from the bottom, and you won't have to worry about that. So let me get this tightened on, then we'll just show you what it looks like. Well, and there you go. Kind of a crooked, squonky little 5/8 wave 2-meter antenna hanging out on Crunchy. Yeah, I know it looks a little weird right now, but the back end of the cars, as you probably know, is kind of messed up, but there's good things coming for this little car pretty soon, maybe in the next year or so. So when I take this antenna off and put it on the hopefully new trunk, then it'll be straight. But for now, we're going to run it around like this, play with it, and maybe tune it a little bit, but not so much. We'll see if it's out, and if it's out, how far it's out. But until that time, you know, kind of fits with the car. It's a little sideways and weird looking, so that's just fine. Alright, the next video will be about how things worked with the tuning. Until then, fair winds. We'll see y'all next time around.